confidence is something I want us to support our young people to develop, to grow, and it's really tricky because it's not something that you can pick up off the shelf and give to your volunteer. So the idea is that tonight we're going to look at some tools and techniques and tips of how to structure conversations so that you can help your volunteers grow and develop in their confidence. Just a few notes about the webinar and how it works. You'll see that you'll be able to, hopefully, you will communicate with us through the chat function on the bottom of your screen. If you could send questions, any comments, any examples or observations that you've made at a time during the webinar, what we can do is we can then bring that into our discussion here. If you can address any of your comments or questions to all panelists as well, that would be really helpful. I'll hand you over to Susie.
Definitely. Hi there. For those of you who weren't tuning in to yesterday's rapport building first meeting session, my name's Susie McLeod. I've been a mentor with Project Scotland since the beginning of this year, and I'm enjoying it greatly. My background is in IT, consultancy, project management, but a few years ago I started to spread my wings and got involved in training in coaching and NLP, and before that in counselling. And starting off as a mentor, I had various discussions with Tully about how coaching techniques can help a great deal with mentoring. And the upshot of it was that I volunteered to come up with a few coaching tools and techniques that would help other mentors. So, and one of the main things that Tully came up with was that a lot of mentors are feeding back about confidence issues with their mentees.
Just interesting, talking earlier to Kasha in the office, we were talking about diversity of volunteers that we've worked with, and actually confidence and lack of confidence impacts on so many of our diverse volunteers. Recently with a volunteer who was a graduate, he's one of the brightest I've ever met, a great communicator, but had worked for a couple of years, but had less work, and for the last 5 years had been off work with some mental issues, and has come to us to volunteer to help grow his confidence. And it was such a slow process to get this young, communicative, motivated chap to even recognise what he should feel confident about. As somebody who has experience of work, who has a degree and is a graduate, and I just reflecting today with Kasha about the fact that we have so many volunteers who don't even have that experience of either the world of work or have achieved anything academically, and so confidence really is something that touches the lives of many of our volunteers. We do have some volunteers who are, over brim full of confidence, but it's often a rarity. So I think it's going to be really interesting having discussions tonight, and we'd love to hear from you about your experiences as well.
Okay, the first thing I just wanted to get very clear is what is confidence? What is confidence and how it differs from self-esteem? And a slightly different slant on it, but the way that I would put it is that confidence is being prepared to take calculated risks to do something, and that you can handle the outcome even if it turns out as well as you expect. So it's being up for challenges and prepared to think through and then do. Whereas self-esteem is more internal. It's about lack of self-acceptance and self-respect and feeling unworthy. And it's really what this particular session is about, although any amount of confidence building is going to impact a little bit on self-esteem. Self-esteem, for those of you who were tuning in yesterday, I talked about the attitude the mentor would take towards their mentee, and I talked about having unconditional positive regard. If you're showing respect and acceptance and lack of judgment for your mentee, that is automatically going to help with their self-esteem. But today's session is more the actual confidence building side. Okay, so the lack of confidence is a problem for many of our mentees and for our mentors in dealing with it. So together a few tools and techniques: confidence-based positive feedback, empowerment, useful questioning, and a couple of different slants on who are you comparing yourself with or to. So with that, we've got to evidence-based feedback. So this is really the simplest and most obvious way of building your mentees' confidence. It's really to help them become aware of what they're doing right and what their successes are, what their strengths are. All of us in the world are a mixture of strengths and weaknesses, and successes and failures, and we're all flawed human beings. And people who are more lacking in confidence tend to focus on their weaknesses and their failures and ignore the good stuff. And like Tilly was saying, somebody with loads of talent who was focusing on what they couldn't do, and that down their confidence levels. So to help to address this balance with your mentees, you should see out the things that your mentees have done well and any strengths that you notice that they're displaying to you, and then feedback to them very clearly and with evidence of what you've actually observed or heard that's positive. It's quite important to have your antennae going for that, because a lot of us don't tend to just kind of spot what people are doing well and talk about it. It just kind of passes us by. But as a mentor, if you're really watching out for that, and you can actually feedback and say why you think they did something well or something was positive, to be absolutely sure to include the evidence. So don't just say, oh, you did really well there. Say why you thought they did well. Otherwise it's going to sound like empty flattery, and I've heard so many people say, oh, they're just trying to be nice, they didn't mean it. They'll take all the criticism, but when they get the flattery, if you like, or the compliments, they say, oh no, it's just people trying to be nice.
I think compliments can sometimes be difficult to accept if you're used to create a narrative for yourself that fits in what you think about yourself. Flattery and confidence, just you're not willing to inhale it. It's quite challenging. And what I'd like to add to what Susie's already said is the fact that our volunteers are coming to us, they're volunteering, they're meeting their mentors, they're already doing so many things that are taking them in the right direction. I think we're a society that tends to to criticise, and we're always thinking about how far we've still got to go rather than what we're doing. And that's why it's so important for our volunteers to have a mentor, somebody who can help them reflect on the experience that they're undertaking whilst they're volunteering, because during their volunteering, there are lots of things that they'll be doing right, the things that Susie's talking about. Actually, it's our role as mentors to help them recognise those things that they're doing right, because often the tendency for people, certainly when they're meeting with mentors, is to try and jump to solutions straight away or jump to action planning. And actually, that's important and they want to move forward, but what they might be doing when they're looking to move forward is not paying attention to everything that it is that they're doing right already, and it's those things that are going to help them recognise what they're good at and help grow their confidence.
Absolutely. It seems a very simple thing, just tell them what they're doing right. And what other things that I just thought of just now is make sure if you're getting feedback from their line manager, for instance, to pass it on to them. If you're getting good positive feedback, oh, they're doing really well, they're doing this, that and the other. Again, second-hand feedback.
Can I just also adding to when Susie was saying don't be really obvious about compliments, because it just sounds like hollow flattery. When something really well, it can sound quite patronising if you go, oh, that was brilliant. That shows you have got confidence. Actually, I often find when I'm talking to somebody who finds it difficult to accept compliments, the best way I overcome that is by asking them, how did you do that? So you went to a meeting and you talk in front of people, they're supposedly lacking confidence. I'll ask, how did you do that? And, how did you manage that? And that can be quite powerful, because what you're doing is, instead of giving a compliment directly, you're getting the young person to question and challenge the view that they have of themselves, and that can often be really powerful without even being obvious about saying that's helped to do your confidence. They're hopefully going to feel more confident at the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
That can go even further by, I think, what sort of skills they use and what sort of perhaps they use to actually complete the task, even though they didn't feel confident in the first place.
Yeah. Or it was something that they couldn't do when they started, that they've now shown that they can do. So that's a new skill that they've achieved. Yeah, absolutely. They're a fairly obvious one. The simple ones are actually quite often the best. You can get too hung up on techniques here. The pet. So if your mentee isn't very confident and says, oh no, I can't do that, I couldn't possibly do that, or no, I don't have the confidence to do that, then it's an assumption that is actually true, because it's not always the case. You can get back to them that they can't do it yet. So if they say, well, oh no, I can't do that, I couldn't possibly have the confidence, just, well, I can see that you don't feel you have the confidence yet. And just adding that extra word in makes a huge difference, actually, because a lot of lack of confidence comes from very kind of static thinking. That this current situation is the way that things are, and it's not going to change. So, and just in that one little word one little word, it implies that things and people can do change, and that everything's temporary. This will pass. They can change based on the actions that they're prepared to take, and start to explore how they could take one small step towards this. And small steps is actually another very good way of building confidence. And they state this explicitly too, but and just say, well, you can't do it at the moment, but you know that people can change and blah blah blah. But just for kind of a bit more subtle, and maybe a bit easier to accept than you just telling them, oh yes, things will change. So yeah, say here, the more subtle use of language can help unblock the unhelpful beliefs, and hard logic doesn't.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because I think that so many of us do tend to develop personas for ourselves, and you must develop a habit of being not confident, or you develop, you suffer a struggle with depression, you become depressed, you become that thing, and it can be defining for you. And if it's something that you felt for a long time, sometimes there's a resistance to change almost, and you won't see things that don't fit in with your own picture of yourself. And something I used to always work when I worked with people face to face was talking, but also about exceptions. So when someone says, I'm not confident, that they told you about something that will attain a certain degree of confidence. Say, well, what was it about when you did this certain thing? Because there will be exceptions. They might not feel not confident all the time. There will be times maybe with their friends or their family that they have more confidence. And what's different about those times? So I think the power of yes, but also the power of exceptions, so that they can start challenging their own beliefs about themselves, the picture that they've built up about themselves can be quite useful.
Okay. From the coaching point of view, questioning is all. So we got a few useful questions that might actually help you to shift some of the confidence issues. And one is, what does confidence mean to you? So if you've got a mentee who's saying, oh, I just don't have confidence, I don't have confidence, what does that actually mean? And, if I'm not confident, you say, oh, you're not confident, it doesn't take you anywhere. If you're saying, well, what does confidence mean to you? They can start to say, well, it means being able to do things and not feeling really nervous about it, or whatever.
And often I'll say, well, it'll mean that I don't feel nervous, or I won't feel shy. And actually that isn't confidence, because the next question I would ask is, well, what would you be doing instead?
Yeah.
If you're not feeling nervous, what would you be doing instead that would tell you that you're feeling more confident? Because it's important to give them something that's positively stated that they can work towards. So they might be clear about what they don't want to be any more nervous, shy, anxious, but actually the more useful thing would be to positively state it and say, well, what would you like to be instead?
What would you like to be instead of not confident, or instead of what confidence means to you? And so the second question here, how do you know when you have it? So if people think, oh, I'm just not confident, that again is very static. And if you think, well, okay, once you've got confidence, how are you going to know that you've got confidence? It makes it something more tangible that they can move towards. So they say, oh, well, I'll not feel quite so nervous, or I'll feel able to do something that I haven't done before, or that sort of thing. It gives you something to actually talk about, rather than being mired in it, oh, I'm not confident, give me confidence, because it doesn't really work that way. And not confident about, as Tully was saying before, some people are actually confident in a lot of situations, but they're not confident about other things. And by asking the question, well, what is it that you're not confident about? They can say, well, I'm not confident about speaking in front of people, or I'm not confident about doing things I've not been able to do very thoroughly, or I don't know enough about, or something like that. And then that can bring you on to, well, what can you do about it? And if things forward, think about what is it you're not confident about. It also lets them see that your confidence issue isn't like a blanket thing. I'm not just a confident person here. You're actually not confident about a particular thing which you can work on and become more confident about. And also be aware that you are confident in other areas, so you can become confident in the areas that you don't feel confident in. That someone who was confident be doing and seeing themselves. And this is a very useful one, because it starts to get people thinking about, yes, if I was confident, or when I am confident, even better, what was I doing? So what would somebody who was confident be doing? And what would they be saying to themselves? Would they be saying to themselves, I can't do this? Or would they be saying, well, I'm going to give it a try, and if it all goes wrong, I'll learn from it and move on and do something else? And a kind of variation on this, which I have used, is what's the voice in your head saying to you? What's the little voice noting over and over? And I have used if you had a CD playing in your head, and I lifted the top of your head up to see what it was, what would it be? What would be the lyrics? And, what would be different if you took that CD off and put another one on that said something a bit more positive and boosted your confidence more? And it's a metaphor, I suppose, but it is quite a vivid metaphor, especially if people don't like the tops of their heads being lifted up. So, but it does get them thinking. You can actually sing them a song if you can sing. Oh, well, I'll not bother. Okay. Out of this actually is what be confident be doing is the old fake it until you make it thing. If somebody who's confident would be sitting in their seat with their shoulders back and their head high and talking in a confident whatever, why don't you doing that as well? See how it feels. And so you play at being confident, and then its confidence will build up.
This thing, isn't it, about always feeling like a fraud? When you sat, does anyone else about that? You sat in a meeting and you feel like you don't belong there. And I remember when I first started in my working career, feeling like that and having to fake it. And then the more meetings you go to, the more experience you gain, you realise that actually you're not the only one feeling like that. but all the things other people are saying are things that you think as well, and so you're growing confidence with that experience. So so it's faking it until you make it.
I think is that not known as the imposter syndrome?
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very important. Also, I've heard people say that people who are confident compare the insides of themselves with the outsides of other people. So other people will hide the fact that they're trembling, the swan pond kind of syndrome. So they're assuming that inside they feel the way that they look on the outside, whereas everybody feels like an imposter at one time or another. And to realise that you're not alone, that other people might appear confident, but they might have severe doubts about themselves.
Mm-hmm. But that you can be successful even though you don't feel confident.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So it works
confidence.
both ways.
Yeah. I think there's a lot about body language that if you act and hold yourself like somebody who's confident, you're going to feel more confident.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of psychological studies done into that sort of thing.
And I think it's just left us as well saying that there's really useful information to back up what we're saying on growth mindset, and that the lack of confidence can be from being told that you're incorrect around even the most trivial seeming answers. And so to do some more reading into the growth mindset again is backs up what we're saying tonight.
Yeah. Is that mindset, somebody, what's his name, Bayak or something?
So then you'll have to tell us.
Yeah, I think I've got that. I think I've got the picture up on the wall. Okay. So this one is which we're going to go into in more detail over the next few slides, is who are you comparing yourself to? And does that help or hinder you? So if you've got somebody who is, this on the starting blocks really at the bottom of the tree, and they're so they're at starting blocks at the bottom of the tree, and they're comparing themselves with somebody who's got 20 years experience and is the top person. Is that actually helping them? Because they're never actually, or not for a long time, going to be the equal of that person. So is this altering them, making them feel that they're not ideals when it's actually not that appropriate at all? So just stand on the who are you comparing yourself to. It can be helpful or it can be unhelpful. So asking your mentee who they're comparing themselves to, and highlight this where the comparison is helpful or appropriate, unhelpful or inappropriate. So just a beginner comparing themselves to an expert or someone who's very, very experienced. So if inadequate because of that, isn't actually helping them at all. So there's no point in comparing themselves to someone that different from them. So if you follow up on that by asking how appropriate or useful it is to be comparing themselves to someone they can't hope to emulate at the stage that they currently are, and then ask them who themselves to that would be more helpful. So if somebody's a bit better than them or a contemporary, then if they compare themselves to them, they're going to have something they can shoot at and have a hope of getting that bit better towards that. And ask them to compare themselves to somebody who's not as good as themselves, and just highlight that we're all at different stages, and the most useful thing to do is to accept where you are, and then be able to kind of move forward from there.
Yeah, I have a very good example of that actually, because one of the mentees I used to work with, she had an HND in computer animation, and she was really great at drawing, painting, animation, but she was only comparing herself to her friends, her college friends. She thought that her skills and her knowledge were just something everyone could do. And on the other hand, she would speak up on things that her friends could and she couldn't. At the end, she ended up thinking that she was really rubbish and she couldn't do anything because everyone was better than her. So what helped her actually was having a discussion about other people. So people, not her college friends, people who can't draw or paint, or people who, if you ask them to create a computer animation, wouldn't have a clue and wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah. And it shows them that they are actually a good bit further ahead than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's always good for confidence.
It's really interesting because the questions just come up. We're talking about people who have lack of confidence, but actually Kay brought up a really interesting question. How do you supportively challenge someone who thinks that they're better than they are? And this is actually a barrier to them achieving. I'd be interested to hear, I think this is something that we probably need to reflect on and we'll come back to, but if there's other people who have some ideas of how to do that, how they've done that with their mentees, we'd really welcome comments as well. But we'll come back to that question, Kay, because I think it's a really interesting one. Maybe just need a bit to reflect.
It's a really interesting one. The thing that just pops into my head is to ask them for evidence to support what they're really heavy about it and say, well, you think that, do you? Evidence that you can do that. But, just kind of gently try and talk about not the word why, but what is it that you've done that leads you to believe that kind of thing. But you don't really want to knock people's confidence too much, even if they are quite confident, because they might not be quite as confident as they're making out.
I think that's where pairing to somebody who's in the position that they want to be in, what behaviours they display, what acumen they display, because that's what the young people will be emulating and replicating. So then it's asking about evidence of when they displayed what they could see in the person that they admire, whose job they actually want as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, quite useful comparison is to ask them to compare themselves to themselves at an earlier stage. So say, okay, 6 months ago, what can you do now that you couldn't do 6 months ago? And comparison can just help them see how far they've come. Because a lot of people focus on, I'm here, that's where I want to be, look at that enormous chasm between me and where I want to be. But if you think about, okay, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a month ago, if they've just started a placement, I couldn't do that. And this is how much I've learned in this month or 6 months or whatever. And I've asked, what makes you think that learning process and that progress is going to stop now then? And that just makes them, well, things have been, I think, more skilled, more this, more that. Now I'm going to go on into the future.
And that's sort of perhaps really useful when somebody's coming to the end of their placement. So the volunteer I was talking about earlier, when he was to the end of his placement, we talked a lot about how far he had progressed, because panic kind of set in about how far he still had to go. And even directly from Susan, the questions I asked him, well, what are you going to do to make sure you don't get back to where you were 5 months ago? Because that can be quite dangerous when you've had this momentum, this learning, and then the structure and routine is taken away. It's a risky time, and the habit often is to look at how far you've got to go rather than how much you've achieved, and then and also slip back to where you were. And so sometimes it's about how we can maintain that confidence that's been built in young people, so they can carry on the journey without too disheartened at the change.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually thinking what I have used, although not in mentoring and coaching, is the metaphor of parrots on perches. And somebody's on a low down perch and is squawking and flapping their wings about and saying, I want to be in that top perch, I want to be in that top perch, and I can't get there. And they aren't actually making much progress. But if you think of there being perches all the way up, and okay, well, if you get from your perch onto the next perch, you're eventually going to get where you're going. With this kind of overwhelm of, oh my God, I've got to get to the top perch right away, otherwise I'm a failure. Okay. Right. Another, who are you comparing yourself to? Helpful use of comparing to a role model. This one is with care, but I'll take it anyway. So I want you to think of someone they see as a role model, or somebody they admire, or who they see as confident. Probably somebody completely at the top of the tree, which they can't hope to emulate. Although sometimes that is an exercise, but again, use that one with care. So some bit ahead of them, they admire, they think is more confident than them, or more skilled than them, or whatever. And then a list of all the things they admire about the person. So that's skills, abilities, attitude, personal values, anything like that. And start with a list of all these things. Go through the list, ticking off the skills that they already have, at least to some extent. So you can either say, yes, I have this skill, or partially, or not at all. There's virtually not all, because generally people that you look upon as a role model, you're already, by having them as a role model, you're parting towards that already. So
and the volunteering opportunity is a great opportunity. If there is anything that they want to develop in terms of their skills and abilities, then you've narrowed down the experience they need to be getting for themselves to be able to, again, grow in confidence and move closer to their goals.
Absolutely. It highlights both the current strengths, which they are going to have a lot of, unless they have very low self-esteem, which areas they might want to develop. So anything that's not ticked, or where they think, well, I'm partly there, but I can improve. So that can then give you the basis for areas that they might want to be mentored in. So if you've got an area where they want an improvement, or they want to move forward on, you're setting a bit of the agenda, and by moving towards that, that is going to help them gain confidence. So you ask them things like, well, which of these things is most important for you to make progress on? Or, will feel more confident to make progress on? And, like something like, well, what one thing could you do to help you move forward? So, and then find something they can do to help them move towards that. Then they achieve that one step at a time, and every step that they take, they're actually gaining in confidence. And as I was saying before, a word of caution on this particular comparing yourself to, if somebody's going to pick Nelson Mandela, okay, be a few things that they can tick, but or somebody who's way up there, then, or even if somebody's a bit ahead of them, but they do have low self-esteem, it can be a bit dangerous, and it can drop their self-esteem even more if they go through and say, well, no, I don't do any of these things. So make sure that you're not just one, or you use of care, really, and sure that you've built up good rapport and a good relationship with your mentee before you do. Now, that is the end of slides that we've got. There was a couple of points that I just wanted to make in closing.
I think before we actually, it would be really useful. Now's probably a good time to start typing in any comment questions that you have, because we've got some time. Obviously, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to address, but if you've got questions, comments, reflections, it would be really useful to do that now whilst Susie.
I just wind up to you. Things to think about. So, from a coaching point of view, any question that starts with the word why it's not necessarily a good question to ask, especially with people with low self-esteem, low confidence levels. To put people in the defensive, you know, like in our childhood, every time your parents asked you why, it's because you've done something wrong. And if somebody does have low confidence levels, they take that to mean, oh, I must be wrong in this, I have to try and justify myself. Rather, so it's
being judged a little bit, isn't it? About why.
Yeah, the word why. So try why questions, and just an example, rather than saying, well, why can't you do that? You could say, well, what needs to happen for you to be able to do that? Or, you know, what would help you towards being able to do that? Or, you know, what goals would you have to overcome to be able to do that? So substituting a what question for a why question, or or even the why you want to do something or be something or have something. You can ask them, well, what will be the main benefits of doing, being, or having that. So
I just wanted to say that in the previous example we gave, why can't you do it, and what would need to change for you to be able to do it. It also changes the context, because from a negative question, why can't you do it,
into
what you can do to actually change it. So it's not only the why aspect of it, but also the negative, changing negative into positive.
And that is a very good point, that the more positive questions you can ask, you know, like try, well, what do you want instead? Somebody is saying, well, I don't want that, and I don't want to do unconfident. Well, what do you want instead? So you're getting into thinking the positive way.
With young people who had a history of addiction, and we used to always avoid why questions, because, to be honest, there could be a million reasons why, and on one particular day your answer to why would be different to a different day. So we always based questions on behaviours and what needs to happen, and positively stating things, because actually I'm not sure it's all that helpful to understand why. People are in therapy for many years to understand why, and you know, people are coming to us to make changes quite quickly in life. And so sometimes the why is probably best left to somebody who has the time and the expertise to ask that question.
Absolutely. So why?
Yeah, you don't like why.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to ban them. I was going to make is try not to judge your mentee. Accept them where they are, what they can do, a moment, and focus on incremental improvement. So don't be thinking they're on than they are, or surely they can do more than that, or they're going too slow, they're not going to get where they are, where they need to be, or whatever. Accept that they are where they are. If they're setting the speed, they may get faster as they go forward or whatever, but that's a part of self-esteem issue. You're giving them the respect that they are where they are, and any steps forward is a good thing, and not be comparing them with some idea of what you think should be or where you think they should be.
The interesting thing is sometimes young people think they are a lot further away or achieving as much as they have achieved, because they have low self-esteem and low confidence. And in those cases, it's not useful to say, oh, but you're definitely further than that, because if they feel a particular way, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't ring true with them. You can challenge them in a positive way where they feel they are, by asking how do they know they're at this certain stage that we're talking about, and giving examples and real examples. I'm saying I think you're further ahead. If you get them to talk about positive things, they naturally start feeling better about themselves, without you saying, oh, you're never that unconfident, or you're much closer to your goal than you think you are. It doesn't matter what you think. They need to think and feel it themselves, and the only way you do that is by getting them to talk about themselves in a more resourceful way, noticing all the things they're doing better, and then naturally, without saying anything, they should feel better about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And the third point I was going to make, which is a very, very simple one, is that confidence grows with achievement. The more things, and it seems a very obvious thing to say, the more goals that they set themselves and they achieve, the more confident they're going to be, because they've got evidence. They can decide to do something, might be a bit of a challenge, do it and make a success of it, or learn something from it, so that they can fail better the next time. So setting small achievable steps, it leads with to build up that confidence. Even if you think that surely they could do more than that, keep the first few, for unconfident people, very achievable. That might be slightly challenging, but is very definitely achievable, and small things that they can tick off easily, and that's immediately going to feed into the confidence cycle, rather than getting into anything too challenging and setting themselves up to fail.
And back to what you said at the very beginning about, confidence is about taking risks as well. Volunteer opportunities are a great space to be able to take risks in a safe environment, to do things that are a bit challenging, not too challenging, but a bit challenging, and recognising that actually the world doesn't surround what it is. Because that's how, for some people, it feels. The thought of doing something new, it feels so overwhelming, but actually, with the support of a supportive placement, being able to do something and seeing that actually, that life goes on, and even if it goes well, brilliant, if it doesn't, you learn that. And you've died. I always used to use the analogy that we're not air traffic controllers. If we make a mistake, there's not going to be a plane coming crashing down out of the sky, and sometimes that can help a young person feel that actually it's okay to take a bit more of a risk.
Absolutely. And this slightly overlaps with tomorrow's anxiety and fears, that a safe environment, that is a safety net, if you like, so they can take risks, and it doesn't matter that much if it goes a bit wrong, because they've got the opportunity to learn from it.
I've got a point actually about mentees, about our volunteers. Do they receive, or are they asked to keep a log to encourage self-reflection and log of the skills that are developing? And actually, we have just recently developed a skills log that each volunteer will be receiving, and it's a really nifty little resource that we've put together, because some people it might not be appropriate because they're more advanced in their journey, but for many of the young people that we are working with, people who are facing multiple challenge barriers, who have very little experience, it's really important for them to note and recognise the skills that they're developing. So we have this skills log, which is in two sections. The first part is around recognising your skills that you're using within your placement or in your own personal life, and then how those skills link into competency-based questions at interviews. So that's the second section. So the skills will be something that your volunteer will start bringing to mentor meetings, but it's something that we're phasing in over the next couple of months. And what I can do is potentially send you, actually, if you're interested, a PDF version of it, so that you get to see it, a feel for what it looks like before volunteers start bringing it to meetings.
Any questions, suggestions, things that have worked for you in big confidence levels?
I think that these slides that everyone should be able to download, and if you can't, we can email them to you. It's going to be a really great aid. Just some of the tips. I don't know, we're embarking on these webinars thinking that this is how you should be working with all your volunteers. It really isn't. It's something that you can pin to.
Absolutely. It really is cherry picking a few. I did it my life's work and come up with screeds and screeds of symptoms.
I did encourage you to do that, but she couldn't have any of it. But yeah, we will be making these slides. I've had a question about if you can't make the web tomorrow. The webinar will be recorded. Of course, it needs to be able to come along live so you can ask questions, but there will be recordings available. Once we work out how to download them and onto our website, they will be available.
Okay, anything?
I have actually.
Okay,
so Colin again, hello Colin, you're my favourite webinar attendee actually. somewhere you can recommend to get a mentor for mentors? I suppose what I'm thinking is within the Project Scotland mentor community, what we have is huge mentors who have lots of experience, lots of different takes on mentoring practice, and so if you to share ideas, then I would encourage you to look amongst the pool of mentors. But if you're a mentor for yourself, I think when I look for mentors for myself, I've gone with people who people that I admire or people that I think I'm able to learn from, and you just ask them if they're willing to mentor you. I don't know, do you have a mentor at the minute, guys?
No.
Well,
I do have somebody who's given me some coaching. I guess that is, but that's not mentoring in mentoring. It's mentoring me in setting up a business. But no, I think a bit of reciprocal mentoring would be a good idea. Yeah. I don't know how to go about setting that up. There's a link, isn't there?
There is a LinkedIn group. We have a LinkedIn group, so if you're on there, it'd be great to get on there. Woefully underutilised, this LinkedIn group. But also, when you're thinking about mentoring for mentors, if you're looking for somebody to do ideas, then there's Kasia and myself available in the office. But I really think that amongst our pool of mentors, there's so much expertise out there that it'd be really great for you to start getting connected.
I've met a few mentors and had a coffee and just swapped ideas and things, but not necessarily mentoring them, but just getting out from each other.
Yeah. Lee's just come in with a really useful comment. Thank you, Lee. If everybody's aware of my world at work, this is something that I logged the other day, and I thought, this is brilliant. And part of that is around helping young people to identify their skills, their likes, their abilities, their strengths, their area of interest, and it helps narrow down. I know we've probably all done one of those questionnaires at school where you can what you're interested in, they came out and told you should be rocket. World of Work is actually a much more sophisticated website, and she's saying that there's a strengths quiz on World of Work that she asks her volunteers to do, and I think sometimes that having something, an activity to do together can be take the pressure off some of our volunteers who might feel quite uncomfortable with just the talking, the sort of two people together and having conversations. So there are tools out there, and I know that Lee has access to lots of them, but if it hasn't been on my World of Work, it's worth getting on there and setting yourself up an account, because there are parts of that website that are going to be really useful for our volunteers, around progression weeks. So there's lots of information on there about apprenticeships and potential work that people want to go into. So thank you, Lee. And there's some online free versions of Strength Finder. That's great. So fabulous ideas. I knew that there were people out there using these fantastic tools. What I would love is for them shared with our wider body of mentors, either through LinkedIn or when we meet up for a coffee, because sometimes I feel like we need to recreate the wheel to make it possible for people to get the information that they need to help their mentoring practice. But it's really useful to hear that people are using things that have worked well with their volunteers. So let us know what you're using. Brilliant. I think I don't have any more questions coming in. If anybody has your last couple of minutes to do so, I should probably let you know that we have 2 more webinars coming up in the next 2 days. So tomorrow is one around how to deal with anxiety, stress and panic. And on Thursday we have a goal setting and action planning webinar for us. So we're learning as we're going along. So it's really helpful if when Kasia tomorrow emails you a feedback questionnaire, that you're really honest and frank about what you enjoyed, what worked well, but also what we could do differently. Obviously this is just one forum in which to share information, and we will back it up with more face-to-face meetings and training opportunities as well. But it would be really great to know that we're on the right line at least. So I think I'm going to draw this webinar. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.